So welcome to the Lovefly podcast. And today we're joined by Mark Strong. And Mark, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your story. Tell us who you are, where you are.
Hi. Hi, Paul. Thanks for inviting me. I live at home with my wife and our two dogs. She has health conditions, so I tend to be at home a lot. We live in Wolverhampton, although we used to live in Coventry, moved up here 18 months ago. But family tends to be in Coventry, so we are backwards and forwards a lot. With the Joy City M6 and everything anyway. We've been together for almost, let me think, it would be over 21, 22 years now. So we've been married for 21 years, only the anniversary is only a few weeks ago.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. It's been a very nice time. Despite me having this nervousness. So yeah.
So great. So tell us a little bit about, you can go one of two ways. You can either sort of say, why you're linked into Lovefly, or you can tell us about your fear of flying, and then, gonna go.
Well, I did fly at a very early age with my parents. We went to Portugal, but I was too young to know really anything about it. I believe that was about 4 or 5 years old. And then I didn't really fly until I was about 22. And that was just a weekend away to Paris with friends.
Yeah.
We flew from Birmingham, because living in the area, Birmingham was the easier airport to go to. And I also remember it very vividly, even to this day, because that's almost, I'm showing my age now, but I'm 49 this year anyway, so so it's going to be like 27 odd years ago now, and it was my first proper flight, and sitting on the plane, fine, no problem. We're just taxiing out, and then we go down the runway, and I look out the window as we're lifting off, and my exact words were, "Oh my God." And I just sat there, and I was like, okay, right, let's just see how this goes. But the flight was fine. There wasn't any turbulence. And it was okay. Yeah. Coming back was fun because we almost missed the flight because we went the wrong way around the Paris Underground. But managed to get on there, get back again. The flight was fine. Fast forward a few years when I've now met the lady that's now my wife, girlfriend at the time, and we're going to Malta on the 1st of January, which isn't probably the best idea when you're young because a lot of people tend to drink a lot and all the rest of it. So we're flying from Manchester, so get up early, go to Manchester, have a nice meal. My girlfriend wanted to make a nice time because it was our first ever holiday away, and that was a proper flight where you go up high. And I didn't know anything about swallowing to keep equalize your ear pressure or the rest of it. And suffice to say that I was sick. But again, that flight was okay. And I had okay experiences. It was then probably wasn't until we started to go on proper what you call consider holidays that I then started to experience turbulence. And it was on one flight we went to Egypt, and it was a week somewhere just relaxing, and then a week on the on like one of the barges they got where you sort of go up and down the Nile, and that was very nice. The only issue is the flight. There was an internal flight on a smaller plane, and I was sat at the back. and the turbulence for me anyway, and my perception, I think a lot of these things is like your own personal perception and how they seem to you. Like I think a lot of people have said on the podcast before, and I thought it was quite bumpy.
Mm.
My wife, however, she's a fearless woman. She's actually, when she used to work, she actually experienced a plane. She flew over to Italy for a conference over there with work, and she said the plane got hit by by lightning. It went through a thunderstorm and it dropped 10,000 feet. Again, that was her perception. But having said that, there's contrary information I actually heard on one of the podcasts. I think it was one of the pilots to say that wouldn't be possible.
That's true, yeah. I was just debating whether to sort of argue with that perception or sort of leave it hanging. But yes, that's...
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, she can fall asleep and do whatever she wants really on a plane. She, as I said, she's fearless that way. And I think really from there it then started to become a little bit more nervous because smaller plane,
yeah,
obviously feels the turbulence more. I was at the back as well, which didn't help because I know that if you're over the wings, it doesn't, that the turbulence isn't felt as much. And we got to Cairo and it was a bit, that wasn't a pleasant experience. But we just carried on. We had the rest of the holiday, and we flew back. That was fine. And it's a strange one for me because I have been to other places. I mean, we actually went on when we got married. My wife originally booked Sicily for the honeymoon because she found a good price for it. Then a week or two later, as a last minute deal, she found going to the Maldives. And she came and told me that she booked it because it was a really good deal. And my first question to her was, how long's the flight?
Yeah.
And when she said to me about 8 or 9 hours, she said she could physically see my shoulders drop. But again, that was from London. We did it, and I didn't feel any turbulence whatsoever because of being a bigger plane as well.
Yeah. So,
and I really,
wise mark. When was that? Sorry.
That was about 21 years ago, right?
Thank you.
But yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
That's all right. No, people like to know. They like to get a sense of the history, you know.
Yeah. And I also, I mean, I have been to other places. I mean, I've even flown to Florida as well. My wife found a good deal to go to Florida. I wasn't really nervous about that for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because of the thought of being in a bigger plane and more protected. And I've thought about this a lot, and I think my nervousness or fear comes from it's twofold: is the turbulence and how it moves the plane around, and also not having any control over anything and not being able to do anything about it.
Yes. So you probably recognise that those are two quite fundamental ones for a lot of people, aren't they? So you're in a good community there.
Yes, yeah. The Facebook community is very good. I haven't posted in there yet. I am hoping to do so at some point, but and I do try and reply when I can, and I do like to see people's achievements as well. There was one lady who posted the other day that she'd been on 3 flights in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Which was fabulous to see. And somebody posted the other day a video that they'd taken when they'd taken off. So that, again, that was good to see. It's all good to see. So yeah, it's a really great community with lots of nice people in there. You all have one, the similar common goal. So you all have an understanding. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been to other places. We even lived in Spain for 5 years. Again, going out there for my wife's health, and I had to come back to England a couple of times every year because we had a property rented out. So I had to come back for one or two things now and again. I always used to lose my appetite. You could tell when I was flying because I'm quite a big eater anyway, and I'd lose my appetite and could hardly eat anything because of the nerves.
So how long before you fly that would happen?
That would probably be about a day or two.
Right.
And
And loss of appetite. Anything else going on?
yeah, this is to put it into context. This is about 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was loss of appetite and not being able to sleep very much.
Yeah.
So and we were inland in Spain. The small English community that was there, we got to know each other, and they always could use to say, "Oh yeah, Mark's flying again, is he? How do you know? Oh yeah, he's lost his appetite." So it used to be quite amusing at times, because I used to be known as somebody who had quite a big appetite. So yeah, it was, and we had a lot of the time it was from our local airport at Granada as well, through Ryanair. And I don't know whether it's, again, my perception, but I always think that the Ryanair planes are smaller than other planes like EasyJet, or any other the airlines. I don't know whether that's a thing or not.
It could be a perception because I think Ryanair and EasyJet use a similar fleet. I mean, I'm not an expert. I mean, I'd have to Google it.
Yeah.
But I think those sort of flights tend to use similar aircraft. It might be the way that the aircraft is configured. So they might have a slightly less of a seat pitch. And so it has the impression of feeling a bit more closed in or something, But as far as I'm aware, they use similar aircraft types. But, correct me if I'm going to have to Google it.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to Google that as well myself. Yeah, so I've always been like extra nervous going on a Ryanair flight. Again, maybe my perception. But I've always thought that they're like any airline, they're great to deal with. I've never had any bad experiences or anything like that. So, and as I said earlier, I think this is my whole, just my whole own personal perception and how I see things.
See or saw?
Say again, sorry.
See or saw? Where are we with this? Because I'm getting a sense of like a long history of kind of like putting up with it, like the anticipatory anxiety is kicking in like 1 or 2 days before.
Yes.
Right. Bring us a bit more up to date, Mark, because I'm getting a sense of like the impact so far. It's good.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we also made some friends there. So we've been out backwards and forwards from England to Spain, and we flew to Malaga, and I've had, as I said, we've had the flights there. Then I've had like other different flights to different places. We even went to Turkey for 2 or 3 months. Again, the flight out there was fine. It wasn't what other people would consider rough. There was small bits of turbulence, but no worries really. Probably fast forwarding a bit, we then had COVID, and I didn't really fly for about 5 years. I think roughly that COVID, and everything else that happened there, which I think made me just put it on the back burner a bit and just not think about it. And then we just were going to other places, like within England, and then it came to, I don't know, we were just never really talked about it, and I never really thought about it, and it was just more of a question of what do you know, my wife was sort of saying, well, she then started to talk because of her house. She then started to wanting to go and live abroad, like permanently. And she's been talking about going to the Far East. Well, that's what 8-9 hours plus, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So sort of over there.
Yeah.
So she's been doing a lot of research about that, and I've been like having to try and I don't know, build myself up or try and sort of think, okay, right, it's going to happen. So, so that's really the long-term goal.
Okay, so let me just pause a sec, Mark, so I get a sense of where you are. So it sounds like you've had, not tons of flights when you were younger, same as me. I didn't fly until I was 18.
Yeah.
And then you don't sound like you've had a great relationship with flying for quite a few years. And there's lots of sort of things that sometimes you've been okay, sometimes you're not. Then you've had a 5-year gap around the COVID time onwards.
Yes.
And that brings you up to date now. So, okay, is that a fair sum up of where you are?
Yes. I just to probably put it into a bit of context, the turbulence for me is more a question of I'm okay actually on the plane and with it taking off. And it's quite funny because every time I'm on a plane and we're going down the runway, my thought is, well, I can't back out now, can I? No. It's kind of little like, it's like my own little like personal joke for myself. Yeah, to try and sort of like keep myself calm and try and just make light of the situation. But yeah, so we want to go abroad. We want to live there. So that's something I've got to get my head around and try and sort of think. Okay, right. There's going to be a flight. It's going to be long. My wife did originally years ago when we first got married want to go to Australia, but that didn't. Through personal circumstances, that didn't come about. So I don't know how I would have taken to be on our plane for that long. But so yeah, so we come to probably, I don't know, about this time last year, maybe a bit earlier, and it's leading up to our 20th wedding anniversary, and my wife's booked for us to go to Greece for a couple of weeks, and I'm starting to get nervous.
How long before would you say you said starting to?
Yeah.
Mummy, she books, or is it like as it approaches? How's it work?
Yeah, as it probably 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, and it it sort of like it's like negative thoughts that creep in. It's like all the turbulence and what's it going to do to the plane, and how bad is it going to be? Will I need will I need to like grip hold of the seat, because that's what I do when the turbulence is what I consider bad, maybe not rough but bad. I have my left hand on the underside of my seat, and I have my right hand literally gripped to the seat rest.
Yeah.
So I'm there like I don't know what else to do, and I'm sort of really tense. I've got my eyes closed.
Because exhausting.
It can be. And it depends on how long the turbulence lasts for. I mean, if there's a slight bit of turbulence where the plane's just moved around for a few seconds, I can sit there and just think, okay, well, that's all right, yeah. But if it then carries on and gets a bit worse and a bit worse, then that's when I think, oh, what's going to happen? And I can't. I can look out the window at certain points, but when it starts to get turbulent, I don't.
Yeah.
So it's
So to be clear, because when people listen to this, because at the moment it sounds like,
yeah.
Some people will go, oh, he doesn't sound that bad. So what we need to get a picture of this, you see. So this is a guy, right? You're gripping the seat in a very specific way, and you've got your eyes shut.
Yes.
And so, yeah, okay. So this is not great, is it? So if this is going out, it has quite an impact upon you, but always you're being quite casual about it. I can hear it in the odd sentence. I think, oh yeah, this is actually, this does really affect you. Yeah.
Yeah, it does really affect me. And I just didn't know how to cope with it. It probably also, or probably what one thing I should just go back to. When we lived in Spain, I actually went to see a hypnotherapist, an English speaking gentleman who was trained by Paul McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fabulous. And we actually flew from Granada with Ryanair. We actually flew from something I forgot to mention. We flew from Granada to Barcelona for my birthday for the weekend, and I was perfectly fine. I had my appetite. I had no nerves on the plane. I was fabulous. I was looking out the window. I had a smile on my face, and everything was great. So I don't know what that particular gentleman did that time, but it actually worked. And then started having other flights, like as I was saying, flying back to England and everything, and that was okay. And then we had a period where I didn't fly, and whatever he did must have undone somehow. Obviously, I don't know how these things work. So we booked to go to Greece, and I was okay for about a week or so after we booked it, and then the nerves start kicking in, and then the negative thoughts about flying again and the turbulence, and I was thinking, oh God, what am I going to do? It's really close to the actual flight. And then unfortunately, one of the dogs that we had at the time, she developed a bad health problem. And it turned out that we weren't able to leave her. Because we've got two different dogs now compared to back then when we had them. So it was a bit of a convenient excuse, not to fly.
Yeah. We do that, don't we? I can still hear you, but you're frozen. So we got to to fly.
We got to. It was a convenient excuse not to fly. I knew my wife wasn't particularly happy, but it is what it is. I mean, when your dog is not well, the last thing you want to be doing really is to leave your dog alone and go on holiday. Because we didn't actually know how long she had left. And as it turned out, we lost her in August.
Right.
So as it turned out, we could have gone to Greece, but we chose not to. Anyway,
you made the right choice, didn't you? Of course.
Yeah. So we then move on, and my wife is now booked to go to Egypt in November. So again, a bit of time beforehand. For some reason, the nerves really started to kick in. again, but this time it seemed worse.
Mm.
And I was thinking, I was starting to not sleep very well. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? So I then was doing a bit of research online, and that's when I actually found this podcast and the Lovefly like community on Facebook. Excuse me. And I tried doing that. I was listening to the podcasts, but I think I was just being so overwhelmed that I wasn't really taking the information in,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really telling my wife either. But I found something, and it's a sedative called valerian root to try and help me sleep, basically. But it was a low dose from an online retailer. I won't name them, but it didn't work, and I was getting more and more nervous, more and more anxious.
Yeah.
And I actually got to the night before we were meant to fly, and we're actually having some works done on the house as well. And I actually told her the night before, I can't do this. I can't go. I just felt so overwhelmed with nerves, it was like, it felt all consuming.
Yeah.
With guilt, with fear, and I just couldn't work out why. And at the time, and it was really debilitating, really. And I just thought, I can't go, because I'd be an absolute nervous wreck on the plane if I even got there. And I think also what didn't help as well was having living in Wolverhampton as we do, and having family in Coventry, going up and down the M6 quite regular. What actually is on the M6? Well, Birmingham Airport. So I'm seeing planes come into land and take off regulars, and I'm just like, again, the nerves and everything, and I just felt totally overwhelmed. So anyway, my wife actually went to Egypt on her own, and I stayed here, and I just got on with things best I could.
What was that like for you?
That was horrible, absolutely horrible. Because I knew I'd let her down, but I didn't. I didn't. I felt so guilty because I told her at the last minute.
Yeah.
And I didn't try and get any sort of help. So that day I dropped off at the airport, and I came back, and I suppose I felt sorry for myself for a day or so.
Yeah.
And then that sort of feeling sorry for myself just sort of gave way, and I thought, Mark, what are you doing? What are you playing at? So I then started to look into more depth for what else I could do, and I thought back to Spain with the hypnotherapy, and I started going to hypnotherapy, and I started to listen to more earlier episodes of the podcast as well. I really started to listen to. So yeah, I started to listen to earlier episodes of the podcast, and I found them really useful. I think if I remember correctly, the first episode that I listened to was, I think you had an American lady on, and she was a comedian.
All right.
I think she was a comedian.
Yeah.
And she was talking about she got to fly for her job, and I was thinking, wow, this is like impacting her life
Yeah.
as much as mine. And then she was saying about setting a deadline to say, right, this is the day I'm going to do it. Let's knuckle down. Let's get all the resources you can, and just do it. And as I said, we had my wife's 60th in January, and we'd actually booked to go to Cape Verde as well in January, and that's 7 hours.
Yeah.
So anyway, in between times, I went to hypnotherapy. I listened to podcasts, and I really looked into an awful lot of different things. And my wife had has a WhatsApp group of friends, and they knew what was going on, and they were all really nervous for us for that morning. Normally,
So
when they knew we were flying out for a birthday.
let's just pause there a second, Mark. So just so I get it clear, go on, people listen.
Yeah.
Egypt flight, October. You didn't go, your partner did. And then
Yes.
from then onwards, you've got the January trip to Cape Verde, and you've got in October and January to work on it. And so your process was submit the therapy and podcast and looking into stuff. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
that would be a fair assessment. Yeah. So we get to like the leading up to my wife's like going to Cape Verde, and I don't know what it was, but it just felt completely different, and I felt more calmer.
Interesting.
And the morning we got there super early, and again, one of the other things I remember from that a lot of people have said, and it is where if you do have this obviously fear of flying or this nervousness, it is worth doing is planning ahead and just taking plenty of time to get to the airport, so you're not in a rush, you're not flustered, and then. But for me, the nerves kick in, and then you're and then you know all sort of bad things happen. So we get to the airport with plenty of time. We're queuing up, talking to other people. We even take a bit of a selfie to send to her girl group on WhatsApp. I also should mention as well. A good friend of mine, she leading up in between the Egypt flights and going to Cape Verde. She actually, I told her about what happened, and she said, "Right, I want to." Whilst my wife was away in Egypt, she said, "Right, I want to take you down the airport," and I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "I want to test you." So we went and just sat in one of the car parks at Birmingham Airport.
Yeah.
And watched the planes come in, take off. And she said to me, she goes, "You didn't act and respond how I thought you would." She said to me about, we spent like 2 hours plus there. We were just talking about things. And she said, "I thought we'd get to the airport and just in the car park and you would be a nervous wreck." And that really helped me that day as well. And it helped me just to normalize everything and see how well organized everything is.
Yeah.
And just to see how everything just runs so smoothly. And that was one of the other catalysts as well. So anyway, just moving on to the airport. We got there, we were fine. The group, everyone was absolutely delighted. Even got chatting to some people in front, and I think the final thing that really reassured me that everything was going to be okay was that there were some passengers who were standing in front of us, and they said to us, "Oh yeah, we do this flight quite regular. You'll be fine. That there's hardly any turbulence on this flight." And there wasn't. I was expecting, because it was quite an overcast, cloudy day or morning, because the flight was at sort of 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And there was something else that I remembered as well, linking that into what somebody else in one of the other podcasts says, is that if you are a nervous flyer, flying in the morning is a good thing, because all the thermals and that haven't developed yet. I think that's how they put it. So yeah, I was expecting some turbulence when we took off, and there was absolutely none.
Oh, sorry.
We got to oh, thanks. We got to a cruising altitude. I've started to listen to a bit of music, bit of podcasts, read a couple of books that I bought at the airport, and it was fine. No problems at all. Got there, had a fabulous time.
Right, stop there now, Strong. Right, tell me, your partner must have been looking at you going, what the hell's going on? Because October you didn't do the flight, and then January you're sat there reading books and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was very shocked. She was very shocked because one other thing as well that I'd now like actually come to mention it is that my wife has a friend who's an ambulance. She's a paramedic. I mean, she's got a friend who's a member of like a pilot, and they told me about being able to go speak to the captain beforehand. And something else, again, another little bit just to reassure me, was I went to spoke to the captain just for 5 minutes, and he showed me the little tablet they got about the route and everything, and it was he just had that calming demeanor, and he just had that kind of way of talking to you to say, "Yeah, don't worry, you're in my hands. Everything will be all right." And I mean, sorry, I'm almost tearing up now just thinking about it. Yeah, and it was brilliant. Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. I don't think my wife appreciated me getting the cabin crew put an announcement out on the plane that was her birthday, because she's a very private person.
Yeah.
But it was all good fun, and she took it in the spirit that it was meant. So yeah, and the flight was great. The return flight, however, from again my perception, wasn't as good. We took off, cruising, going along okay, and then we get back into English airspace, and I was looking out the window, and everything just seemed to be dark. And I just thought, oh no, here we go. But I just thought, let's not, I was thinking, let's not be negative. Let's just see how it goes. And it was okay until we were, until we're making our final approach into Birmingham. And then we're going through the clouds, and it was getting a bit turbulent. And that's when I started to hold on to the seat in front of me. But my wife was there, and she was like basically talking me down, basically. She said, "Oh, right, we're okay." She's like, "Oh, well, we're just banking around a bit there. That's fine." And then we're just going through a bit of cloud, and there'd be more turbulence, and then we came in, we landed, And we landed, we taxied in. I just thought, yes, you've done it.
Yes.
And I also had a bit of a sense of relief as well because of the turbulence I experienced at the end. But it was more of a sense of achievement, being able to fly there and fly back.
Yeah, that is it.
So
That's what it's about, isn't it? The trips.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You don't have to love it, but you can do it.
So
That was January. Also, are any plans? We got something else booked?
yes, well, our friends that we made over in Spain, it's his birthday. It's his 60th. So we're going out to Spain at the end of August from Birmingham, just for the weekend.
Yeah.
So we will be doing that. We've also got Cape Verde again in December.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And I'm determined to do that, despite how I might view things. I'm determined to do it, and
Brilliant.
even though I might be a nervous wreck, or I might have nerves or anxiety, I am now determined not to let it hold me back and stop me from doing things.
I love it.
And I just like one of the other ladies said on the podcast that I listened to, just do it. I mean, it's so I get us, or I got us, and there are so many tools available. There are so many things that you can do, whether it's meditation, whether it's breathing exercises. I actually have a couple of apps on my phone as well that I can use to help regulate my breathing, to help keep me calm. Whether it's the Lovefly podcast to listen to, which I found absolutely fabulous. There's certain episodes that I've sort of made a note of.
Yeah, I was going to ask him that because people like to know the ones which you find helpful. So yes, tell us the list.
Yeah, one of the very early episodes where you had a lady and she was literally bombarded a pilot with questions. I can't remember the episode number, but that was Melissa one.
Melissa.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fabulous, and the way she was just kept firing questions at him, and he had the answers for everything, and it's just brilliant. There was I think you had Sarah on a podcast.
Sarah Fowler.
Yeah, I'm not sure which episode it was.
Is that
I'm not sure which.
Sarah Cabin Crew?
Yes, no, it wasn't cabin crew. It was like a person with like nerves and fears like myself. But that podcast actually brought me to tears because I could so relate to her.
Yeah,
and it was just. I think another part of this is also just sort of feeling alone, and it's not until you start doing research about how many other people have this fear, and it kind of normalizes it and makes you think, yeah, this is something I can overcome.
Yeah,
and you can do it. I'm just there was the other ones that I found really fascinating. Were the ones where with the ground crew.
Oh yeah,
and where they talked about everything is like double, triple, quadruple checked, and everything's like down to the finest of details. And then the also one with the cabin crew as well, where they have like all the training they go through and everything else, and then the one with the pilots where they talk about all this backup systems and the backup to the backup system, and it just makes you realize how, despite you having, like, say for me, not having any control, and I mean, I can't recommend the podcast enough. It really has helped me, really has. And the Facebook community is also great as well. And it's just been a lovely place to see people achieving things with the same or similar sort of conditions that I had. So yeah, it's been great, really has.
Mark, thank you. I love the fact you also said had.
Yes.
You said had, not have.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is a big deal because, as I said, we're going to Spain in August. We're going back to Cape Verde in December, and I'm determined now not to let this stop me again. And I feel I have so many different, as I said, tools and different things that I can use to just reassure me that, yeah, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, and you're going to be able to do it.
Amazing. I love that. I love you. I love the story there and how we've got to a point where you're now. I can hear how determined you are, and to turn it around really from in a few months is remarkable. Yeah, granted, you've done you had the hypnotherapy, you listened to the podcast, and you're researching more. Just out of interest, how many hypnotherapy sessions did you go for?
I think it turned out to be about 6 or 7 in the end. And I was going, it was a lady who was local here to me in Wolverhampton, and I was going every week.
Could you just give her a name check in case anyone's in your area and is looking for a hypnotherapist? Might have to send it later.
Without looking on my phone, I wouldn't be able to. I'm just trying to. No, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember her name. But she is fabulous, and she just put everything into perspective. And I mean, something that I always remember, she was like saying, "Imagine how many flights are happening every day, and how often do you hear of something bad happen?"
Yes.
It's like hardly ever. Compare that to how often you drive and how often that you hear of accidents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
It's literally like night and day, the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything just all brought to bear has really worked for me. So yeah, it's been really good.
Well done. Well done, mate. So give us your final positive message for anyone's listening and goes, yeah, but you're not as bad as me and blah, blah, blah. What would you say to them?
I would probably say to them, don't stop it from you doing things. There are things out there that you can use to help yourself. Yeah. I mean, just going back to one of my very early flights, I used to get on the flight. I had headphones with a CD player, and this is how long ago it was, like a Walkman. I had equalizing, I had wristbands that equalized the pressure, and I used to take travel sickness tablets. Yeah. I used to say to my wife, I'm just like a clown walking on the plane, because I was having all these different things on me and wearing all these. And now I've got to this point now where I don't need any of that, and I can get on a plane. But there are so many different things out there to help you, whether that is hydrotherapy, whether that is the Lovefly podcast, whether that's the Facebook group community, whether that's anything else, like maybe trying to find an app on your phone that can help you with your breathing, because that really helps. I'm actually wearing my t-shirt today is actually from Cape Verde. I thought I should. Oh, that,
You're on brand.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, try not to hold. I have been there, and I know how disabling it is to have that fear and anxiety and to have those problems. But that there is help out there. Just go for it and help yourself. You won't regret it. You really won't regret it. I can't stress how many things are out there for different. And hypnotherapy might not be for everybody. You know, that I did hear somebody on one of the podcasts to say they did try hypnotherapy and it didn't work. So, but what might help me might not help others. But then either way around, there might be something that doesn't help others but might help them. It's try not to let it hold you back and just enjoy. When you do get on that plane and you do get to your destination, enjoy it, really do.
Amazing. Mark Strong, thank you very much for your time. That was fabulous.
Thank you.
Some nice little tips in
No
there.
problem.
And I love the nice positive close at the end. That's really good for people as well. And also it helps, you know, I don't always hear the stories where they kind of like, it sort of stopped you, but not. But then when you've got that moment where you kind of go, that's it, I'm not getting on that flight literally the night before. I think that's a really good reminder for people that it can sort of creep up on you. And then what you're able to do within 3 to 4 months, I think that's fabulous. So well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to press the close button now, but thank you very, very much.
Okay. All right, no problem.
And it's lovely to meet you, by the way.
You too. Yeah, you too as well. Thank you very much. I've heard your voice. It's nice to meet you in person, so to speak.
Well, I always think you shouldn't meet the voice really, because, you know, the voice might not be, you know, the voice might be more reassuring than the human and vice versa.